Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and now con- continuing with my reviews for my picks for the top 10 best animated DreamWorks movies. Now here I am with my review for number 9, Antz. So, yeah, this was DreamWorks' very first animated film, and yeah, this of course is like the really controversial predecessor for A Bug's Life. Of course, like I've already talked about this, like I said before, with like the whole Katzenberg Pixar Bug's Life situation. Back when I reviewed A Bug's Life. So yeah, if you want to like hear me talk about that, you can go watch that my review for that movie. So yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna try to like do what Nostalgia Critic did when he reviewed this movie, and just like not really focus on like the whole Katzenberg controversy with A Bug's Life, and just look at this as like a whole as its own thing. So yeah, when this movie was released, like critics really did love it. Like this film really did get like some really great reviews from critics. And the audience reception really was like kind of mixed for it. I think a lot of people did actually see A Bug's Life before this film, even though this film was released a little earlier than A Bug's Life. But yeah, I think a lot of people that saw this movie probably did watch A Bug's Life first. And so, yeah, I guess that they felt that this one was kind of looked at as a ripoff. And yeah, they just, yeah, probably just really didn't like that this really was pretty much the same concept of A Bug's Life. And like I said before, I really do like, haven't been really big on either film, so I do like but I do like A Bug's Life a little bit more. And yeah, I really didn't watch this film very much growing up. I mean, like I was saying before, like with the earlier DreamWorks movies, I really wasn't that crazy for them. Like it really wasn't until like 4 or 5 movies in that I really did start to like the DreamWorks animated films. So yeah, I really wasn't that big on this film when it was released, and even now I'm still really not too big on it. Like I really don't haven't really cared for this very much. But I guess like as it's like for the story it's trying to tell, I guess it is like pretty good, I guess. I think this is probably like considering like all the controversy that was surrounding it and stuff. I guess that they were trying to do as good as they could with this film. And I guess it is like a decent film. Like the concept for this film is like it is like not exactly like the same as A Bug's Life. Like the really the plot for this film really is actually pretty different, even though like the concept was really similar. Like this film actually has a pretty different plot, and yeah, I guess like the plot is like decent enough. I guess this film like really has just a load of stars in this. Like this film has stars like Woody Allen, Gene Hackman, Sharon Stone, Sylvester Stallone, Jennifer Lopez, Danny Glover, Christopher Walken, Dan Aykroyd. So yeah, a really like huge cast for this film. And yeah, I guess they're all like pretty good. I guess like the roles that they play in this film are like pretty like fit roles for them. And yeah, I guess they're all do like good enough. I guess. And yeah, basically like this plot for this film is really just like it's really about like a colony of ants, and like there's like some that are actually like mining workers and some are actually like soldiers for like an ant army. And yeah, the main character for this film, Z, he like ends up like falling in love with like the ant princess, and apparently like since he's like a worker and not a soldier, like he's kind of like really not supposed to really be seeing her or something. And then yeah, but he ends up like inadvertently like kidnapping her at one point to get out of like the other soldiers like going after him and stuff. And so yeah, and then they like end up like having to journey off to find like this parrot ant paradise and stuff, or an insect paradise. And eventually like he has to really take her back to like the ant colony and stuff. So yeah, definitely like a much different like plot for this film than A Bug's Life. And yeah, I think A Bug's Life story is just like a little bit better than it. But yeah, not like I said, not really gonna go into all that. So yeah, but yeah, as its own thing, like for the story that it tells, I guess it is like decent enough, I guess. I would give this film probably 3 stars out of 4. Yeah. And basically, like in this film, like you have like the general for the army who is basically like the villain for this film, and he's basically just like trying to kill all the ants, and his like intention is to like build like the ant colony that he really wishes to have. That's really like much more powerful and influential and stuff. And so that's really his intention, and he really like wants every part of the current ant army to really be killed. And so, yeah, basically like the villain like has evil intentions throughout this, and yeah, he's just like really trying to make it so that like Z is like kind of looked at as like really a criminal, really, so people won't like him and stuff. And so, yeah, basically just a really like a pretty good story. And yeah, I guess like the villain does have like, well, the motivation is like a little like what should I say? Not really weak, but kind of like out of nowhere, really. I mean, it's really not. I really don't think that it's really touched upon why he really feels this way, but yeah, I guess like the motivation is good enough, I guess, for what he's trying to do. So yeah, overall a pretty good film with some pretty good characters. So yeah, let me just get right into it. All right, so the movie is set in like an ant colony in Central Park somewhere, and then like Z, he's like real neurotic, and yeah, he just really does want to express himself, and he has friends like one of his other workers, Azteca, and also like Weaver, who is like one of the soldiers in the ant army. And he eventually like ends up like meeting Princess Bala in like some kind of bar because yeah, this is pretty much just like all the stories about princesses you see, especially like from Disney, where the princess just really is unhappy with her life and just wants to escape it and stuff. Yeah, and yeah, Z ends up like falling in love with Bala, and like they end up like dancing and stuff. But then it's time for like the army and Bala to go, and she tells Z that he'll really never get to see her again and stuff. And yeah, Z like really did like want to see Bala again, so then he just ended up like convincing Weaver to really switch places with him so Z could join the army. And as he like Z was then like marching with the army, he then like met like the staff sergeant of the army, Barbatus, and befriended him. Yeah. And then like it was eventually like it ended up being revealed that the like General Mandible for the ant army is actually like engaged to Bala. Yeah. And then yeah, and like I was saying before, like General Mandible just like sent the soldiers off, and yeah, he wants them to die so he can make his version of an ant army and stuff. Yeah. And then yeah, the ants then like ended up doing battle with an army of termites that ended up like had the ability to shoot acid and stuff. And during the battle, like the entire ant army, except for Z, ended up being killed. Like before Barbatus actually died, he was telling Z that he should, rather than follow orders, to think of for himself. Yeah. And once Z like ended up arriving back home, like he was looked at as a war hero, even though like he really didn't do anything. And he was just like traumatized by all the battle. Yeah. And like of course like Mandible really like inside he really was not happy, but he was like putting on an act and he was like congratulating Z and then introduced him to the Queen Anne, and then like Bala was also there and like she ended up like recognizing Z what when she met him earlier. And once like uh, the Queen Ant and Mandible like caught on to like Z basically like impersonating a soldier, and like the other guards like were like cornering Z, but then like he ended up like pretending to take Bala hostage, and then they just ended up like falling down a garbage chute out of the anthill. Yeah. And then like once they like were just like on their own, like basically like in the park on their own, then like it showed them there was like a big magnifying glass that was like of course in the sun, and yeah, causing that fire burning thing that they cause when they're in the sun and stuff. Yeah, eventually they ended up like escaping from that. And of course, like Z now had the intentions to search for the insect paradise, Insectopia, and yeah, Balho of course like was just arguing with Z, wanting him to take her back to the colony, and she just was like seeing how much of an idiot Z really was, and then like they were starting to just like go their own ways, but then like after like Paula was trying to return to the colony, she like ended up like encountering a praying mantis, and then she then like escaped it and then rejoined with Z. And then yeah, the colony then just like was receiving news of like all the incident spreads. I mean the incident and like spreading throughout the colony. Yeah, and yeah, then like of course like the act they thought that Z did was like was then like inspiring the work like a lot of the other ants from both the workers and the soldiers, and yeah, all of the like all the work that they were doing and just their productivity was like just coming to a halt. Yeah, and then like Mandible like was trying to gain control, and then he was just like trying to really portray the real publicly as just a really self-centered war criminal. Yeah, and then yeah, he just promoted like the glory of conformity, and then yeah, he just was then making the promise to of a better life through the reward of completing a mega tunnel that he planned, as he said. Yeah, but yeah, like Mandible's second in command, like Colonel Cutter, was really like starting to really have like real concerns about the plans Mandible really had for the colony and stuff. Yeah, and like after like then like Z and Bala were like had like were misdirected. It did, and then they ended up like finding a picnic like, that they came across. Yeah, it just showed like a bunch of product placement. It was like Pepsi and Mountain Dew and a bunch of other product placements in that picnic. Yeah, and they eventually ended up like meeting two wasps there, Chip and Muffy. Yeah, but eventually like the human that was having the picnic ended up just swatting Muffy, and then yeah, as he was walking, like Z and Bala ended up like stuck on some gum at the bottom of his shoe. Yeah, but then yeah, they then eventually like Z and Bala finally arrived at Insectopia, and really all it was really was just like a waste bin that was really just overfilled, really with a bunch of like rotting and decaying food and stuff. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, after like then like interrogating Weaver, then like Mandible like discovered that Z was actually looking for Insectopia, and then yeah, he just sent Cutter out to find Bala and just kill Z. Yeah. And later on that night, as like Z was just like gathering stuff for a fire, like Cutter arrived, and then he just ended up like flying Bala back to the colony by force. Yeah. And after Z like found that Bala was gone, he then returned to the colony with the aid of Chip. Yeah. And once Z arrived back at the colony, he then just found Bala just being held captive by Mandible. Yeah. And after he rescued her, he then like found out about the mega tunnel that Mandible was planning, and he saw that it was just leading right to a lake, which was just which was actually like a puddle next to Insectopia. And yeah, Mandible like had plans to really just use that uh, to drown the Queen Ant and like all the workers at like his opening ceremony for it. Yeah, and then like she tried to Bala then tried to warn the ants about Mandible's intentions at the ceremony, and then yeah, Z then just arrived at the tunnel exit, and then he tried to stop the workers but ended up failing, and yeah, water then started to leak into the colony, and then Z and Bala then just ended up like unifying the workers ants into like building a huge towering ladder to the surface as the water didn't rise. And then it showed like Mandible and like his other soldiers was at the surface, and he was just like explaining his vision of a new colony with no weak elements, as he put it. Yeah. But then, yeah, the workers eventually end up breaking through, and then Mandible then like tried to kill Z, but then, yeah, Cutter like just ended up like rebelling against Mandible finally, and then he helped like Z and all the other worker ants, and then yeah, and then Mandible was just like enraged, and he tried to actually kill Cutter, but Z like ended up like interceding and just like pushed Cutter out of the way, and then yeah, Mandible then ended up like tackling Z by accident into the colony, but then and yeah, Mandible just ended up like landing on top of a root, and yeah, he ended up being killed on impact. Yeah, and Z ended up like falling into water. Yeah. And yeah, Cutter then just had the soldiers help the workers and the Queen in, and then yeah, Cutter then just like went after Z, and yeah, it looked like Z had drowned, but yeah, he ended up being revived by Bala, and then yeah, Z ended up like being like praised for heroism and stuff, and then he then eventually like married Bala, and then yeah, the colony ended up being rebuilt, and yeah, rather than like a military state, the colony was like made into just a community to value everyone in it, and then yeah, movie then ended. So yeah, 3 stars out of 4. Like I said, I mean, yeah, definitely like has a bunch of flaws, definitely, and really not one of my favorites. And yeah, really, yeah, and yeah, just yeah, overall like flawed definitely, but I still think like the story that this movie tells and the premise is like pretty good, I guess. So yeah, if you are like curious, I guess you can give this a watch. I guess it is worth the time, but uh, yeah, really like no masterpiece. And overall, I think A Bug's Life is the better film. But yeah, you can like watch both films, and yeah, you can compare the two, and you can decide for yourself which one you like better. All right, so yeah, all right, so that does it for my review of Antz. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.